What is going on, everyone? My name is Dillon Mendes. I'm super excited to be with you, tuning live from London, Ontario. Today, we're going to talk about impact creation. How to create an impact in your life, in the lives of the people around you, and in your communities. You see, I believe there are three fundamental pillars to creating an impact. I think the first is recognizing the importance of authenticity, of just being our true, authentic selves, at school, at work, or at home. The second is the necessity to have some sort of community, and to believe in the power of community is how one individual, we may seem that we can't make a change, but when a community comes together is where real change actually stems from. And lastly, the power of choosing discomfort, of earning comfort by choosing discomfort. Before we get into it, I want to share a little bit more about myself. I have two amazing, loving, hardworking parents who immigrated to Canada from India. And their names are James Mendes and Christabel Mendes. And I have an amazing, loving older brother. And his name is Sean Mendes. And me and Sean go way back, obviously, to the day that I was born. And the reason why I have some arrows by my Instagram handle is not because I want you guys to follow me. I would never do such a thing. The reason is because when I met Sean several years ago, I took a selfie with him on an old Nokia phone at this Good Life in the city of Pickering. And I don't have the file of the actual image. But usually when I share at schools or virtually that Sean is my brother, I get three types of reactions. The first is usually the guys who are kind of sitting there with their arms crossed, leaning back, saying, "Cool, bro. No one cares. I don't even want to be here right now." And the second type of reaction is usually the girls. And they go, "Oh my gosh, really? You're really related to Dillon Mendes? Oh my gosh." And then the third type of reaction is usually his fans, the real fans that have the Shawn Mendes IG fan page account. And they start thinking and questioning their own belief system. And then they realize that he only has a younger sister. No, I'm not his actual brother. And when I met him at this gym, I shared a story with him. And it's the same story I want to share with you. Do any of you remember what platform Sean got famous on? Bieber got really famous on YouTube. Sean got famous on Vine. He would release these 6-second videos, not of him dancing like TikTok, but of him singing, playing with his guitar. And they would get hundreds of thousands of views. And some of his fans, particularly the ones in Canada, were so obsessed with this guy that they would do whatever it took just to talk to him. And what they would do is that they would go into a phone book, look under the city of Pickering, look at the last name Mendes, and there were two households, mine and Sean's. And they would take a 50-50 shot and call both homes with a hope that they could just talk to him. And my parents would answer the phone every single day to, "Hi, is Sean there?" And they would say, "No, Sean does not live here. Please stop calling." But me, I saw this as an opportunity. You see, when Sean's fans called, instead of saying, "Sean does not live here. Please stop calling," I would take a deep breath from my diaphragm, roll my shoulders back, pop my chest out, and say with the utmost conviction, "Yes, this is Shawn Mendes." And we have a full-on 10-minute conversation about my singing career, about the songs that I'm releasing, about the tours that I'm going on. And usually near the end of the conversation, they would ask me to sing them a song. And I would never do that to any of your ears, because I cannot sing for my life. And then I would tell them the truth that, I'm not actually Shawn Mendes. And I took them on an emotional roller coaster, and they would be in tears, and they would say, "Wait, what?" And then we hung up the phone. And the reason why I share that story with you is, one, just to lighten up the mood a little bit, but two, to exemplify the fact that sometimes in 2021, it could be really easy to be someone that you're not. And I don't mean impersonating a celebrity because they have the same last name or because you might look kind of like them. But I mean, sometimes as student leaders, I think we forget about the importance of authenticity, I feel like we forget about the importance of just being our true, authentic self. And if I'm being honest with you, reflecting on my time back in high school and as a teenager, I felt it very challenging to just be who I was, to just do what I wanted to do as opposed to what my parents wanted me to do, or as opposed to what my peers wanted me to do. And even before that, when I was a very young person in elementary school, and maybe some of you can relate, you start changing whatever you wear, your drip. You start wearing the brand names with the swooshes or the 3 lines with the different animals. Not because you really wanted those clothes, but maybe it was because other people just had them, so you wanted them. I know for me, that's what it was. And I changed my food. I went from eating my cultural Indian food to conforming to eating, sandwiches or whatever my friends were eating at the time. And I developed this mindset of always conforming who I was, as opposed to doing things that I truly wanted to do. That was before I saw my one friend walking home one day, picking up litter. So I stopped my car, rolled down my window, because it's so uncommon to see, and I asked this guy, "What are you doing?" He explains to me that he had a teacher in class that day that taught him, if you were to do something so small, do it over a longer period of time, it could lead to a large change. And this guy, his name is Sam Demma, great buddy, he applied this theory to picking up trash on his walk home from school. And me, being the obnoxious 17-year-old at the time, my reaction was, sorry, I don't want to spit on you because of COVID, but I was laughing. I thought to myself, your idea of making a change in this world is picking up trash? I hope it works out for you. And I just started to drive home, having no plan or vision to help this guy out. My only issue was that I couldn't get this idea or this theory out of my head. So I gave him a call, and I said, look, if you do this by yourself, you're not going to get much done. But what if, crazy idea, what if we partner together and host these weekly cleanups for 1 hour once a week and just see where it leads? And he agreed. We did it consistently for 1 hour once a week. And it later turned into what is now known today as this initiative that I'm about to show you. It later turned to what is now known as PickWaste. We meet up to clean up 1 hour once a week in 3 cities across Canada. We've hosted over 250 community cleanups, filled over 2,500 bags of litter, and we've turned this into an actual initiative. What started out as 2 random guys who call themselves the Wastemans picking up trash grew into an actual movement. The reason why I tell you about PickWaste is not to brag about what we accomplished, but rather to showcase what is possible when a community comes together. To showcase what is possible when you start acting with that inner desire and actually be your true authentic self, as opposed to following whatever anyone else is doing in life. And right now, what I've realized is that people need community now more than ever. As I show you on this next slide, what I've realized is that during COVID, more people have come out to our cleanups now more than ever. We usually average about 15 or 20 people. Well, we started seeing 30, 40, 50, 60 people coming out because people crave community. I want to ask you, as a student leader, if you have school virtually, or maybe you're starting to go back in person, I want you to think about what are ways that I can try to instill community in people's lives. If it's virtual, it could be turning your camera on so your teacher can see that beautiful face when you have a class. Or maybe checking up with a person, giving them a call, or shooting them a text, or hopping on house party to making sure that they're just okay. Or if it's in person, or maybe you're going to in person, think about ways of how you're going to act after this 1 year of social distancing. How can you instill community in the lives of the people around us? I think it would be great to call it there, give you guys back 5 minutes of your time, carry on with this whole amazing summit. But there's one issue I have specifically with speaking. I love speaking, but I feel like so often I'll go to an event or we'll bring in a speaker and we forget about one important aspect of what it takes to make an impact in community. And that is the necessity to choose discomfort. This past year, I was at a family barbecue with my buddy's house, at my buddy's house. It was his birthday. We were social distancing. The regulations weren't that huge. And my one friend came to the backyard, and he was raving about this experience that he just went on. It's called skydiving. I don't know how many of you heard of it, but it's when a bunch of crazy people want to fly up in a plane from World War I that has a dinky propeller that goes like brrrr, and then jump out from 10,000 feet for no good reason whatsoever. It kind of looks a little bit like this on the slide I'm going to show you. That's what it kind of looks like. And he just got back from this event, and I said, wow, that's so cool. I've always wanted to go skydiving. It's on my bucket list. And my one friend beside me said, wow, that's so cool. I've always wanted to go skydiving. It's on my bucket list. And my one friend that just went skydiving said, so why don't you guys just go? And I said, yeah, not right now. It's COVID. It's not that safe. He said, no. The regulations are more relaxed. You can go. It's perfectly safe. I said, but the weather. He said, bro, it's August. What do you mean the weather? You can go. It's fine. And I started making all these excuses, and like a good friend should, he just smacked them down. And he said, if you don't book it in your calendar, you're probably never going to go. So I said, bet, let's do it. So my buddy and I booked it, Google Calendar, that day, 3 weeks from out, went home, registered online. My buddy and I are going skydiving in 3 weeks. Weeks go by, days go by. And I'm on a phone call with my parents the day before I go skydiving. And they start asking me these questions. So what happens if the parachute isn't open? What happens if you land in a forest? What happens if the instructor that you're attached to dismantles during the dive? Do you have another parachute? They're asking me all these questions. I have no clue what to answer. I'm like, can I buy a vowel? Can I phone a friend? I don't know what to tell you. I go to sleep super stressed, wake up the next morning. I am praying that my friend chickens out and doesn't go, but he doesn't. I pick him up. We drive 2 hours to this location. We get to the skydiving place. It is filled with adrenaline junkies. These people love jumping out of planes from World War I for some strange reason. We go to sign the waivers. It's a 10-page booklet. All I see on these waivers is 5 letters, capitalized, bolded, Times New Roman font, size 21, DEATH. We are not liable if death. We hope you don't die. Things sort of that nature. I go to meet my instructor. I pray that this guy's going to calm me down a little bit. And he does the exact opposite. He's super nonchalant about the whole thing. I don't like to judge people very much, but this is where some of my imperfections came out. He was wearing these really long rainbow socks with like a SpongeBob shirt, and he had twirls in his hair, and I said, oh my gosh, this might not go well. And we get on this plane, and I realized what they were doing to us by acting so nonchalant about the whole thing is that they were trying to calm us down a little bit. And as you can see in this video, we were dancing, we were acting like we were having such a great time.
Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies.
We were dancing, we were hitting the whoa, it looked like we were enjoying it, but what they were trying to do was act like it wasn't a big deal to just calm us down. And once we started actually moving our bodies, as opposed to just sitting there and signing waivers, it started to feel a little bit better. And what I've realized from this experience, what I've always been reminding myself throughout COVID, is that if we want to change the state that we're currently in, one of the things that we need to do, as I'll show you on this next slide, is rapidly change some movement in our body. Because when we do that, it actually changes our mental and emotional state. And there's actually studies that have been done at Harvard that proves out this theory. I don't have time to get into it now, but you can look up Harvard power posture that proves this theory out. Especially if you're going to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, such as jumping out of a plane, like I'm going to show you right now.
Because of you, dripping lights paint the skies. Only
And it was such a bliss, amazing experience. And I always look back at that event or experience and ask myself, why was I so nervous or scared a few days before, or the morning of, right before we jumped out of the plane? And I did some research to try to figure out why this always happens to us. You see, whenever we try to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable, our brain starts to freak out a little bit, because the brain's goal, or one of the brain's goals, is to protect us from anything that's harmful. So the minute our mind sees something that's even a little bit scary or fearful, we say, whoa, back up, not today. And we never want to do those things. But what I've learned from my research is that slowly exposing ourselves to little bits of uncomfort consistently actually helps us as leaders show up when uncomfortable decisions or actions need to be made when we're actually playing in the game of leadership. I want to leave you with that, is what are one or two uncomfortable things that you could do on a consistent basis to help train that muscle? That way, when we're back to in-person events or when we're leading students in school, you'll have trained that muscle and be willing to take that leap when some of your peers may not be comfortable to do so. I want to leave you with 3 things before we wrap up. In order to create an impact, I believe there are 3 necessary pillars. The first is the importance of being authentic, of just being who you truly are. The second is believing in the power of community. It's that one person, you may feel that you can't make an impact, but when a community comes together is where real change stems from. And lastly, is to seek discomfort, to choose to earn comfort by seeking discomfort consistently.